Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Richardson, and I have my good friend Brian Barr with me today.
What up?
Today, we're going to review the film Zack and Miri. Zack and Miri is a film directed by the famous Kevin Smith. He directed films like Clerks, Mallrats, as well as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And Kevin Smith is very well known for comic book reference films. He's well known for Star Wars reference films. And today, in a way, it's almost kind of a buddy film like some of his previous films. Zack and Miri is the story of two people living together in an apartment. It's
Basically, it starts out actually very simple. It's two, they've been best friends for a while. It's Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks, and they're living together. They're not in a relationship, but they live together. They're both kind of let's just say they're not very financially stable, and so but still, I mean, if I were to, be living, in an apartment by myself, I would rather live, with, a girl, and not make it complicated with sex, than, living by myself. But anyways, it starts off, they start to get into such dire, horrible financial needs. So, they're basically backed up against the wall, and, they're about to get locked out of their apartment. And then finally, Seth Rogen comes out with the idea.
Okay, so anyway, this is how the idea gets across, too, in the storyline, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it turns out around Thanksgiving time, both Zack and Miri, Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks, they have to go to their class reunion at their high school. And it turns out while they're there, one of the people that they remember from their high school is a close friend of a famous actor, actually. Turns out this actor was in an X-rated film, and they find out that if they make an X-rated film, that they can make a lot of money really quickly. And so Seth Rogen's idea, Zach in the film, he goes to Miri and says, "Miri, why don't we make an adult film?"
Miri being Elizabeth Banks' character.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it took Zach a lot of talking to her, and finally ended it with. Actually, I thought it was pretty funny. He gets down on they're in their apartment, and it's they shut off the power, they shut off the water.
They literally have nothing left.
They're huddled around a flaming garbage can that they're using their old bills to burn.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Zach gets down on his knee and says, "Miriam Linky, will you have sex with me on camera for money?" and I thought that was funny, and that's really actually while we're talking about this, we were talking about this earlier. Seth Rogen is actually to me, he is quickly becoming one of my favorite comedic actors out there. I started actually.
40-Year-Old Virgin was a big breakthrough role.
That's true, and he had more of a minor thing there.
In Anchorman.
And
a minor role in Anchorman.
That's true. But even though it was a minor role, he was still absolutely hilarious. But then when he was like in, I actually saw what was that? Observe and Report.
Observe and Report. Yes.
I thought that movie was a little.
Actually, a lot of critics actually claim that is one of his weaker films. Actually, too.
It was okay, but it kind of seemed to me more like. Once the movie started, I'm not gonna give away too much on the movie, but once that started, it was like kind of showed it definitely was a Seth Rogen film, but it was kind of a character that I really don't think that he should have played. You know what I mean?
But in this film, Zack and Miri, the reason why Seth Rogen is so well known in this film, and why he should be well known, is he adds a lot of energy to the character. His character is definitely. He knows what he wants. He knows what he wants to do, and he goes with it. And that's kind of a nice addition to his character, almost. Would you agree?
Absolutely. He's definitely. He starts out actually throughout the movie really quiet, really kept back, and just being quiet and kind of out of the way. And then once this idea springs up, we're gonna make a dirty movie. He starts to get these crazy ideas going throughout his head, and their first shot, it didn't necessarily work out.
You won't get into detail because it might ruin the film for you. But
yep, but once it really starts going, and there is a point during the movie where they're making the movie, and then finally it comes down to Zack and Miri's actual scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got a couple other people to come in. They made it all official. They made auditions and stuff like that.
Which kind of adds humor to the film because they're treating this like a big budget Hollywood film, like an Avatar or whatever.
And they're spending like $5 on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just like, and they're making this own independent film, and they're treating it like it's a huge big budget film. Turns out they're only making it just to pay off the rent. So,
exactly.
So. Rent's not $1 million, but rents can be pretty expensive.
Well, if you let them get up and you don't keep on them, then they definitely suck.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, like I was saying, probably my favorite part, and what I think would be, what the movie is about, is Zack and Miri's actual scene together.
Because one thing I want to add to that too is, earlier in the film, all the scenes before that one are really, really dirty. I liked how even though that scene is still dirty, and even there's even some selective moments in the film where it's dirty, but at the same time, if you really think about it, the message they're trying to bring across to you, what Kevin Smith is trying to get across to you, is very positive.
Mm-hmm.
He's truly bringing out the message of it's okay for men and women to be friends. It's okay for men and women to wait as long as they want. If they don't want to bring their relationship to the next level, that's fine.
Right.
This film's truly about it's not about bringing relationships in a race. It's about bringing relationships at a pace that you want it to be at.
Exactly.
And I think Kevin Smith makes a perfect point in this film.
And I definitely like this where the plot, it doesn't necessarily twist really, but where it actually makes the movie more interesting for me. If this is to all the adults out there who, if you happen to have seen, adult dirty movie, adult like themed, X-rated, filthy smut, you know that what happens there, with the actors. That's really not how it really happens. You know what I'm saying? And there was actually a quote that Zach said in the movie. We tried to expletive deleted, but instead we wound up making love. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely true. And I may just be, preaching to the wrong choir here, I think. But, there is really a big difference between, the dirty movie, dirty, and doing the dirty for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's what some people may not understand. But once again, that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Seth Rogen, again, he is really coming up to be one of the. He makes very good movies. I like what he does, and Elizabeth Banks, I think that she's gorgeous.
Oh yeah. Another film that a lot of you have actually seen, and a lot of people actually don't recognize her from this film, but actually she is a part of this film. Is she was in the Spider-Man films? Is Betty Brant. Betty Brant was the girl who worked for Jonah Jameson.
Yep.
Even though it's a minor role, that was one of Elizabeth Banks' big breakthrough roles. She was also in the 40-Year-Old Virgin with Seth Rogen. I think that's one reason why Kevin Smith decided to cast them. Because
that's true.
In a way, he's almost trying to make his own Judd Apatow film. And Judd Apatow directed like 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up and a lot of other films that have the same sense of humor.
That's true. I forgot about that, yeah.
So in a way, this film is a Kevin Smith film trying to be a Judd Apatow film is the best way to say it.
I wouldn't necessarily say it like that. I mean, there's a lot of movies coming around that are excuse me.
Excuse my bar.
Yeah. There are a lot of movies that are coming out that are, very, very saucy in humor. You know what I'm saying? It's got, kind of that humor. It's like where you don't think somebody is going to go there, but they do. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of films nowadays, too, even though this film does have dirty humor, there's a lot of scenes in it where just like, somebody truly had to sit down, such as Seth Rogen or Kevin Smith, and think about, what could I do to this scene to make it absolutely hilarious?
Well, exactly, and that would go with any comedy. It could, and it's been, they've been doing that since you remember the movie Some Like It Hot. That was a very simple movie. very simple premise, but that's people sitting around a table thinking for hours and hours and hours, thinking, what can I do to make people pee their pants?
Yeah.
Basically, that's what's going on, and that ranges from the cleaner humor of Some Like It Hot to something dirty like American Pie Beta House. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that is possibly the most dirty movie I've seen.
Dirtier than this movie.
That yeah, you know, but definitely this is this was probably one of my favorite comedies that I've seen. I did like the fact that Seth Rogen is definitely coming onto his own as an actor, and he's showing the world basically. Well, maybe not the world, but he's definitely showing the American people what he has to offer, even though he is Canadian.
So Zack and Miri, would you rate it a good, an okay, or a bad film?
I would rate it as a good film.
I would rate it as a good film as well. However, some of the flaws is because there's so many positive messages to this film, and there's some scenes where I'm sure Brian Barr would agree, where it's so dirty to the point where it's hard to get that clean, good message across almost.
It's almost hard to look at the camera.
Yeah. And
I know that I had to look over. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that's okay because this movie's trying to be funny and it's trying to be dirty too, but it's one of those movies where you can't have clean and dirty at the same time, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's scenes that try to do that, and at the end of the day, it's just like, why didn't you just have a clean cut, clean movie? And so it's a good film. Check it out. It's worth seeing.
It's definitely a worthwhile thing. I know I'm gonna be taking this home, watching there's a bunch of extra
Special features
on there, so check it out.